Hey guys, it's a drop of rain here. Welcome to another episode of our best in class loadouts. Today we're going to talk about the support class and the loadouts we can make for that class. So let's get started. Okay guys, so we're going to talk about the support class weapons now. We have LMGs, MMGs, and shotguns, and we're going to speak about them in each of those categories to keep them separate a little bit. So we're going to start out with everybody's favorite support class weapon, the KE7. It's the best all-around gun, has a decent magazine size, it's great for long, close, medium ranges. Everyone's go-to, I feel like. It's just a solid weapon, especially for an LMG. Next we have the Bren gun, which aside from the magazine being really annoying and in the way of your screen most of the time, it's a pretty good gun overall. Not much different than the KE7, but it's just missing something that the KE7 has. Next we're going to talk about the Lewis gun. It's got a bigger mag than the KE7, and it still has a pretty great fire rate. But for the magazine size, it's worth a go for an LMG. The magazine size closer to the MMG magazine sizes. Now the FG42. I like this gun a lot. A lot of people don't like it, but I really enjoy it. It's better for a mid to long range combat. It has a little bit smaller magazine with only 20 rounds, so you're going to find yourself reloading a lot. But as a support class, you have that unlimited ammo all the time, so it's a pretty solid choice for a weapon. But for the LMGs, I'd definitely say the KE7. It's the go-to. In a pinch, doesn't matter your situation, it's going to be a solid weapon. It's going to be there for you. Now for MMGs, we have the MG34. It is great for range. It has pretty good control, amazing magazine options. There's a lot of different ones to choose from, but it's a good machine gun overall. The fire rate's a little lacking in comparison to the MG42, and now we'll move on to the MG42, which has that 1,200 rounds per minute, the highest firing gun in the game right now. You can hip fire with this when you walk into a room and just hold down the trigger. Everything's gonna get hit by it. Maybe not die from it, but if you do try to ADS, or just try to stop moving basically while you're hip firing, you're gonna notice it really does drop people close range. Mid range, great gun when you have the bipod out. Wouldn't try to hip fire it mid range, but it's for close range, definitely hip fire this weapon. Now the VGO finally is the last machine gun, and it is a mixture, it feels like, of the MG34 and the MG42. But for me, it just feels a little uncontrollable in comparison to the other two. I don't know what it is about the gun. It just feels like it wants to climb. Even when you're in the bipod, it just wants to climb. It wants to pop around a little bit. Wild firing gun, it's that middle between the other two. It's a decent weapon. Okay guys, now shotguns. We have the 12 gauge automatic. Has the higher fire rate of the shotguns for the magazine size, but it's definitely not competitive. When you look at the M1897, which, well, I'll talk about that right now, it feels like a standard battlefield shotgun, really. I mean, you have the great stopping power and the multi-target acquisition close range. It can drop people, and it can drop people fast in a small little contained area. So if you're looking at like 2 or maybe 3 enemies close range, if you can get a flank on them with the M1897, definitely you're gonna have the upper hand. Now the M30 drilling, it's kind of a hybrid gun because you have the 3 rounds in it. You have your 2 buckshot rounds and 1 slug. Now the slug is great for range. It hits as hard as the sniper rifles. I believe it's a 1-shot headshot. And for close range, you have 2 rounds of buckshot for a single target. Usually, it feels like, for me at least. But solid shotgun choices. Definitely, I like the M1897 overall is the go-to. I want to say 870 just because the 870 was my go-to gun in Battlefield 4, and no gun will ever replace that. Now the gadgets, guys, the pouch and crate, it's pretty cut and dry. If you're just looking to resupply teammates, grab the ammo pouches and just throw them around. If you're looking to resupply teammates explosives, or if you're put up in a position where you're not really going to move much in a defense of a base or something, grab the crate just because you can resupply explosives, you can resupply the AP mines, the AT mines, your grenade rifle or pistol, and so that's really what it boils down to is what's your situation, what do you want to resupply. Now, the other gadgets, you have your AT mine, AT grenade pistol, and the AP mine. Now, I'm always leaning to the AP mine just because tanks are so easily avoided in this battlefield on the majority of maps, and there's so many people playing Assault that I don't really have to worry about it as support. If I am in a situation where, say, my team's not taking out the tanks like the Assaults I would expect them to, I'll grab that grenade pistol. Or even if I want to just help out with taking out a tank that's being a nuisance in a base, grab the AT grenade pistol. But the AT mine, they're great to troll with, but aside from that, you can put them down, say, behind a tank and throw an impact grenade at them, and they act kind of like dynamite. They'll take out that tank. But the AP mine seems to be my go-to for this class also, just because it's such a defensive class for me, the support class, and that mine gives me that, okay, I'm about to get flanked, I need to move position. Now the grenades. We have the incendiary grenade, the impact grenade, which I mentioned a minute ago, and the sticky grenade. The sticky grenade, it's I noticed that it gets stuck to just about everything when you're throwing it through windows. It's kind of a pain. The impact grenade, it's a good one for the class. The incendiary, it's once again, like I mentioned in the previous video, it gives you that pinch point. If you know they have to get through that doorway, put it in the doorway. It'll give you that extra second or two if you need to retreat. You'll know, okay, they're walking through now. Or if you're posted up with your bipod, okay, they're walking through now. I know I need a fire now. But that's the different grenades, and I personally like the impact. It's a pretty good all-around grenade. Now, guys, here are the class specializations. You have your engineer and machine gunner. I'll speak about the engineer first. So the engineer gets a vehicle fixer trait. It's the only class that can repair vehicles besides the driver. Engineer used to be a whole class in Battlefield by itself, and that was your anti-tank, that was your, it did it all. Now engineer is in the support class, which changes things a little bit. Situations where your tanks are taking on other tanks long range, say, and they don't really have that time to repair themselves, that would be the time to grab your engineer. Or if you're running with a squad who's sitting in a tank and you're just with them the whole time, grab the vehicle fixer trait and the engineer specialization. It gives you just an advantage for your whole squad and your whole team, really. Especially with how underpowered tanks are, it gives you a little bit of a boost. It also gives you the heavy weapons trait, so that weapons, auxiliary, and heavy weapons don't overheat as much. Not really something I care too much about, because I usually pay attention to the overheat. The machine gunner specialization is a little overpowered, and I love it. Or it feels overpowered. It's not really overpowered, though. But you have the Bullet Storm trait, which increases the suppression on the enemies that you're firing at and reduces the suppression that they give you. It also, as soon as you suppress those enemies, they're spotted for your team. Now, spotting enemies is such a huge thing now that they removed it, so that your team knows, oh, that's where they are. It gives them an advantage. It's a great specialization, the machine gunner trait, or the machine gunner specialization, and especially that focused fire trait. So definitely take a look at that. Situations, I don't really run engineer too often because we have other squad mates who they're usually the vehicle guys. I'm usually if I'm playing support, get in the base and play defense. Okay, guys, and finally, we're going to talk about our different play styles. Now, support is a class that you can play aggressively or defensively pretty easily across the board. The shotguns and the LMGs are great for offense, mowing down enemies with the KE-7s, say, and the 1897. Both great options for offense, and you can get in the bases and you can cause mayhem. Now on defense, you're going to want to, well, what I do on defense, you don't have to do this, personal preference. On defense, I like to grab the MG42. I like to sit back, set up some mines and stuff, and just make sure that they stay out of our objective. Defend it. That's in situations where we're on a solid team and we don't have to worry too much about going out and capturing bases. If our team's capturing well, but not playing defense well, move on to defense. Play a little bit of defense and watch the difference it makes for your team. Just to have someone else there on defense, making sure that the objectives don't get recaptured as they're being captured. But for this video, guys, that's it. If you want to take a look at my other videos, they should be coming up here. And I will have my medic class loadout coming up in the next video. So you guys have yourselves a great week, and check out my other videos. Oh, like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. Take care, guys.